समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
आप समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
The Prime Minister has responded for the first time since Donald Trump slapped a 50% tariff on India. In a sharp rebuke of the American president, Prime Minister Modi has said that India will not compromise when it comes to the interests of those in agriculture, dairy, and fishing. The Prime Minister also made another somewhat cryptic remark. He said he knows he will have to pay a personal price for this, and he is ready. On this special broadcast, we continue to look at both the politics and the geopolitics after Trump has brought a hammer down on Indo-U.S. relations, upending rules of global diplomacy as well as global trade. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. The Prime Minister has responded in a sharp rebuke of Donald Trump without naming him even once. Prime Minister Modi said that India would not compromise when it comes to the interests of those who work in farming, fisherfolk, dairy, and India was ready to take what came with this position. He also added that he knows that he would have to pay a personal price and he was ready for this. These were the Prime Minister's first remarks after Donald Trump gave a rather clueless I don't know answer when quizzed about America's own trade with Russia, and then proceeded to slap 50% tariff on India. Meanwhile, NSA Doval is in Russia and has announced an impending visit by Vladimir Putin to India very soon. This even as the Prime Minister heads to China for the SCO summit at the end of August. Global geopolitics is changing. Everything is in a state of churn. And forget everything else. After attacking India for its purchase or our purchase of oil from Russia, now it seems Trump is getting ready to meet with Putin. In fact, the day Ajit Doval was in Moscow, so was Trump's own envoy, Steve Witkoff. On the program today, we asked three top experts where they see this dynamic going from here. Is this transitory? If Trump manages to broker some sort of deal between Ukraine and Russia, will the tariffs be forgotten? And even if they are, can India ever forget the way Donald Trump has behaved and acted in these last few days? Let me introduce our guests on the program today. If we can bring them up now. We're joined by military veteran General Raj Shukla. Welcome to the program, sir. Also joining us is a veteran diplomat, Ambassador Dr. Mohan Kumar. And I believe that Indrani Bagchi, who's the CEO of the Ananta Aspen Institute, should be with us any moment now. In fact, I can see her there at the back end. Welcome, Indrani. Indrani there, the CEO of the Ananta Aspen Center. It's good to see you. Before we get started, I just want to play out the Prime Minister's statement, and that should take us straight into the heart of the debate. Take a look.
सोयाबीन, सरसों, मूंगफली, सभी का उत्पादन रिकॉर्ड स्तर पर बढ़ा है। साथियों, हमारे लिए अपने किसानों का हित सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता है। भारत अपने किसानों के, पशुपालकों के और मछुआरे भाई बहनों के हितों के साथ कभी भी समझौता नहीं करेगा। और मैं जानता हूं, व्यक्तिगत रूप से मुझे बहुत बड़ी कीमत चुकानी पड़ेगी, लेकिन मैं इसके लिए तैयार हूं। मेरे देश के किसानों के लिए, मेरे देश के मछुआरों के लिए, मेरे देश के पशुपालकों के लिए आज भारत तैयार है।
All right, let's get straight to our conversation now. The Prime Minister's public statements give you a glimpse into the fact that the negotiations did stall over the issue of opening up of the farming sector. But Trump's response makes it very clear that there's something personal here. It could be his desperate need for validation for America's messaging during Operation Sindoor. Ambassador Dr. Mohan Kumar, your first responses.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I think it's good that the Prime Minister has stated the obvious, even in the WTO negotiations of which I was a part, even in the Uruguay round 20 years ago, and things have since then only remained the same. I wouldn't say have gotten worse. India's agriculture actually is a sector that hasn't been able to subject itself to meaningful reform. It hasn't become productive. And in my conversations with farmers, I get the feeling actually, in some ways, the land holdings have even become smaller. Given this situation, and given the fact that we are unable to motivate the farmers of Punjab and Haryana to shift from rice to cash crops, and you saw the agitation when the eminently sensible farm bills were introduced, they were not accepted. So I think the Prime Minister is stating the obvious when he says, I would say some things in agriculture, some things in dairy, and some things in fisheries are absolutely non-negotiable. I wouldn't say everything in agriculture, everything in dairy, but maybe we can talk about it a little later. For now, I'm glad he has laid down this red line. This is a non-negotiable red line. Any Indian trade negotiator will tell you everything else is up for grabs, but not this particular sector.
Indrani Bagchi, do you believe, however, that what has happened or what continues to play out every day between Trump and India is strictly to do with trade, is strictly to do with disagreements over the sectors that Dr. Mohan Kumar, Ambassador Mohan Kumar just listed? There seems to be something else going on here. Trump's pivot towards Pakistan, whether that's because Pakistan has a lobbying firm led apparently by Trump's former bodyguard, or whether it's because of interest in Iran or Trump's business links to Pakistan's crypto council, I do not know. But there are talks about Munir getting invited for a second luncheon to Washington. There is Trump's sort of very obvious personal pique. There is something else where the disagreements over farming, fishing, and dairy do not fully explain what's actually going on here. What is going on here?
Hi, Barkha. Great to be on your show. Honestly, I mean, we can speculate, of course. I do believe that, like you, that it's not really, it's not only the trade negotiations, because India's trade bottom lines or trade no-go areas have been known to the world for a very long time. And as Ambassador Kumar just said, even in the WTO negotiations, I mean, at this moment, I'd say that WTO is an institution only in name. But there is definitely in the, I'd say these are two parallel tracks. They have converged somewhat. I'd say apart from the trade negotiations, which stalled on agri-dairy and soy, the other bit is, I think, much more personal and much more connected with the Sindoor optics around the Sindoor ceasefire. And I'd say that is a personal sort of affront that Trump has. Some have even told me that in September, October last year, when he went to the Quad Summit in Delaware, and Trump then tweeted that he was waiting to meet his friend Modi. I think somebody advised Prime Minister, it was a silly advice in retrospect. It was silly advice even then, not to meet him because they didn't get a date with Kamala Harris, the Democrat candidate. And he didn't, and that was taken amiss very much at the time. I thought they had actually patched up with the February summit, but clearly not. And the Sindoor bit, I think, left a very, very sour note in the relationship. I think the final sort of nail in the coffin, so to speak, would have been the conversation between PM and Trump on the 17th of June. So that, I think, my sense is these are something that came in the way. I can't hear you, Becca.
I said, sorry to interrupt, but this conversation that you refer to between PM and Donald Trump is, I'm assuming, when Trump leaves Canada to head back, he meets with Asim Munir and he invites Prime Minister to come and meet him. And that is the phone call in which the Prime Minister tells him that India will never accept mediation. That is the conversation. And you believe that that conversation was the final sort of proverbial nail in the coffin.
Yes. That conversation, I think, where basically PM sort of read him the riot act, that there was no mediation, or there was no mediation that happened between between India and Pakistan. And if you go back, you will find a very stern video readout of that conversation by the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri. That went down very poorly with Trump. Everything went downhill from there. Everything.
And just before I come to General Shukla, there's also some perception that the comments the Prime Minister made, perhaps provoked by domestic politics, that J.D. Vance Indrani called him, and he called him 3 to 4 times in 1 hour, and then there's a little titter in Parliament, and then the Prime Minister called him back, and so on. You think that would have also gone down poorly? Because hours later came the Trump announcement on the first set of tariffs.
And I don't think for Trump it's personal. It's not like he was batting for J.D. Vance, and it was. J.D. Vance, the fact that J.D. Vance called PM, in fact, I believe that J.D. Vance and the Prime Minister actually now enjoy a very good personal relationship after his visit here in April. But I think the president is much more concerned about himself, and I don't think what J.D. Vance said or did that night mattered that much.
Okay, so General Shukla, we have two very interesting and different dimensions of this crisis. From Ambassador Dr. Mohan Kumar, we have the non-negotiables, the historical non-negotiable spaces in farming, fishing, dairy. From Indrani, we have that sense of personal, an ego bruised, for lack of a better word, seeking validation, not receiving it, feeling a personal affront, and Trump is like that. From you, the strategic sort of confusion, for lack of a better word, the balls in the air. We just had the Deputy Chief of Army talk about China's very active support to Pakistan in Operation Sindoor. Now we have Prime Minister going to China for the SCO summit. You have the announcement from Ajit Doval that Putin is coming here. The dates have been nearly finalized. That's what Mr. Doval has said. And you have an unpredictability now in dynamics going forward.
Yeah, Barka, so thank you very much. What Indrani said and what the ambassador said, both could be right. But I have another perspective and I just like to add it. And here I just make two preliminary observations, and thereafter I'll come to the bigger issues, perhaps in a subsequent intervention. And what are the preliminary observations are these? Some of the banter which has been flowing between Trump, Modi, India and US has echoes of the very bad vibes between Nixon and Indira Gandhi. We are almost getting to that. That is one, and that should really worry us. And two is, this MAGA hubris of doing everything their way, setting conditions for the whole world, are the chickens of, MAGA coming home to roost? In the sense that, are they now spurring a new realignment? Russia coming closer to India, and maybe it's a pretty distant dream now, maybe even some kind of rapprochement with China, not because we wanted it, but they are pushing you into it. So these two issues is, something that we need to do. Otherwise, if it were just these superficialities, we would not come to this kind of banter. So there is something seriously afoot. I mean, the Prime Minister saying that I'll have to pay a personal price for it. There is something very, sinister afoot. So I think the Indo-U.S. relationship is in deep trouble. And when I return in a subsequent intervention, I will say why. Because I think there are larger issues at
Okay.
play.
So since you spoke of Indira and Nixon, we just picked up a little sort of photo piece from albums of the past. Is it that bad? Can it be repaired? If there is a deal that Trump succeeds in getting on Russia and Ukraine, will he suddenly be in a better mood? We don't know. Before I come to Ambassador Dr. Mohan Kumar, I just want to play out this statement from NSA Ajit Doval in Moscow. Take a look.
You very rightly mentioned, Excellency, that we have got a very special relationship, a long relationship, and we highly value our strategic partnership. We have had high-level engagements, and these high-level engagements have contributed very substantially. We are very excited and delighted to learn about the visit of His Excellency, the President of Russia, President Putin, to India. I think that the dates are almost finalized now. The more important thing is this, that is, these summit meetings have always been the watershed points.
Right. So, Ambassador Dr. Mohan Kumar, some of these visits are pre-scheduled. So, Mr. Doval was meant to go to Russia, but it requires a different, basically telling off of Trump at this moment. Modi going to China, Putin coming to India. But guess what? Trump is also going to meet Putin, possibly, American media reports. Steve Witkoff, Trump's envoy, is in Russia the same day as Doval. If you look at the trade numbers, which MEA, our foreign ministry, finally calls out, you see a $3.5 billion trade value between US and Russia in last year alone, including in import of fertilizers, as well as sort of the import of uranium and so on. The numbers are on our screen, $1.27 billion of just imported fertilizers in 2024. The staggering hypocrisy has been called out by India. But now what? There are those who are asking, why isn't there more of a connect in Washington with our diaspora, with key players of the Indian-American community? Do we not have Trump's ears? Even if it's personal, who's the go-between? Why is this so difficult to break the ice on?
So I think something has fundamentally changed in DC. My sense after talking to them, talking to people there, is that the diaspora is not has never been so influential when it comes to trade negotiations. They do their bit when it comes to H-1B. They have been supporting members of the Congress and the Senate. But traditionally, even in my entire career where I dealt with very difficult trade negotiations with the United States, the diaspora has not helped us. The US nuclear deal was different, but never in the WTO, for example, when we were stuck on intellectual property rights, we never went up to the Indian diaspora and said, listen, can you help with USTR? But that is because the USTR has traditionally been an island. It's all been by itself. I think what has changed now is that it is no longer the USTR. My sense is this is Trump. This is President Trump, really. And I don't know how much the diaspora has a direct link with Trump. I know a lot of people who have links with Vance, for example, and a lot of others like Howard Lutnick. But Trump, I don't know. So that's one thing that others who are more qualified may answer. But I think two things are happening, and I just wanted to conclude with that, if you allow me. One is that multiple strategic hedging is happening, not just for India, but also for every other major power in the world. In fact, I have said we should play all sides, play all cards, and play the long game. That should really what India should be doing. And with regard to the United States, I said yesterday, no confrontation, no capitulation, but conversation. Keep talking. So this is what they are doing. So they can't really hold a mirror and say, hey, why is your NSA going to Moscow? As you rightly said, President Trump himself may be visiting Moscow. So I think this is what will happen, Barkha, I think for some time. I still believe, and this will be my last word, at least for this segment, I consider the relationship with the United States as a consequential one. I really think we should make an attempt, despite everything that is happening. And I know that the outlook looks very dim. So a lot of things have changed. All that is true. I'm somewhat worried about the economic situation. There is a tendency to resort to jingoism in India and say, screw the US, we can survive. And it's only 3% of GDP and stuff like that. But there are knock-on effects. And I don't think we are at that point yet. I would still think that we should devote resources and really put our best foot forward. We're doing it well. We don't have to get into a tutu mama. We are not reacting to everything emotionally, but I don't think we should stop negotiating. Do it. Let your NSA go to Moscow. If your PM wants to go to China, that's fine. Do that. Do all that. Play all sides. But I think treat the US as a relationship that needs to be salvaged. And I think we can do it if we negotiate, continue to negotiate, and play the long game.
So let me take that to Indrani Bagchi. Indrani, do you believe that we are still at the point where you can talk in terms of, we've said no capitulation, but that no confrontation? Are we really at that point that Ambassador Kumar says, or has something broken? Not maybe between India and the United States that can't be picked up later, but has something fundamentally broken with Trump? That said. PM is going to China. There has been a process of cautious rapprochement with China. I think India has done it consciously to not invest everything, in Trump and in America. But haven't we crossed in a way that moment where this can be repaired, or have stranger things happened in geopolitics?
No, we have not crossed it at all. I mean, please understand that, and I'm only quoting a White House official, albeit a Biden White House official, only last year, that when I was meeting them in Washington, they said, we have never come across a more pro-American prime minister from India ever. And PM has absolute faith in the relationship. Yes, things may have gone wrong between him and Trump, because this is definitely something that has soured at the very top. It is not. It's not among the negotiators. Second, please remember that USTR is no longer that island, because USTR has been downgraded and has been brought under the Commerce Department. So Howard Lutnick is actually Jameson Greer's boss. So there are dimensions there as well. And the last thing I will say is, agri-trade, and I refer you to a super piece by Harish Damodaran this morning in Indian Express, that agri-trade between India and the US is booming. There is a huge surge in agri-trade. The issue is actually it's GM crops, which are illegal. It's illegal in India. It's dairy because of obvious reasons, and soy. Trump is very, very keen on soy because he's lost his biggest market, which is China. And soy farmers are actually MAGA. So he needs a new market, because the Brazilians and Argentinians are flooding the market, have taken the China market as well. So he needs a big market. We take a lot of soy in the form of soya oil, not as in the form of soybean, which comes under GM crops. But soya oil derived from the same GM soybean is exempt from this particular blank sort of block in India. And we take that, but not too much, because US doesn't produce that much of soy oil. But that apart, nuts and stuff that we've taken, and we granted all of those in the trade negotiations. We've given all of those. We actually wanted a 0 for 0 on so many sectors, which Trump did not, because there people said, no, we want a baseline tariff of 10%, or which is now a baseline tariff of 15%. So it's not just the deal, but this is it. I mean, I've heard people say this here. This is actually a 1991 moment. It is not a 1971 moment. It is a 1991 moment, because this is an opportunity for India to actually make the kind of changes domestically that we should have, and that Ambassador Kumar referred to in the beginning. So I will leave it at that.
So, General Shukla, let me pick that up, because you said that this moment reminded you of Nixon and Indira. It's got that personally damaged. And I think nobody disagrees that something has gone wrong, and that for Trump, this is personal. And Modi is, the Prime Minister is talking about paying a personal price. Nobody quite knows what he's seeing as that personal price. But that this is a moment of economic opportunity. 91 is when India's economy opened up. We can actually use this moment to create an economic opportunity. That still leaves me with certain questions about security. Trump's sort of pivot, or I don't know if I should call it a pivot, but the sort of, kid glove treatment for Pakistan, for Asim Munir. The first lunch was seen in the context of strikes on Iran. If there is to be a second lunch, and it's not corroborated, but there are media reports that Munir has been invited back to Washington. What do we make of it all? It's so confusing. We're trying to keep a door open with China. Pakistan is a vassal state of China. Pakistan is cozying up to Trump. Trump is responding. Things are strained between us and Trump. We have problems with Bangladesh. Some would say the 3.5 front war that we've been prepping for in some ways is upon us. So we at least have to be ready for it.
So, I didn't say it was a 1971 moment. I said echoes of the 1971 moment.
Okay.
And why I say that, I'll just lay out 5 to 6 issues which we don't address. If we don't address, we might get into the 71 moment. And here, both India and the US are at fault. So what are those issues? The first is, which I've been, saying for a while, there have been major swivels in geopolitics, this whole transition to national security, technologies, and the character of war. Such deep changes that our strategic foreign defense policy outlook, unless they transform, will be constantly behind the curve. So that's the first point. Second point about the US is this, that it is not only a contested hegemon by China. I'll give you one piece of metric. By 2035, percentage of global GDP will be 24% China, 14% USA. 24-14. And this is when you take into account all the adverse demographics and all of China. Now, if that is the reality which the MAGA camp realizes, it is my belief that they have decided to move out of Asia. So you have a contested, retreating hegemon, which means two things. India will be on its own, and USA doesn't need India to balance China. And now look at the other issue. When in the Biden era, we talked of stars to the seas, then we had Indus and this. What has what has come out of the pipelines? Look at the modern security architecture, the intimacy, Israel, USA, Pakistan, China. There are direct flows. And here both bureaucracies just go on and all, star to the seas, nothing flows out. So unless something happens, that is another issue. 3, I think now, what really rattles the West is the strategic autonomy, which is that India won't pick a side. That we'll buy oil from Russia, we'll do trade with USA, engage with Iran. This really hits them. And we must exercise strategic autonomy, but where are your own capacities? AI, defense. If you don't build these capacities, your strategic autonomy is on uncertain pillars. And the last point is this, that we cannot afford to alienate both the faraway hegemon and the near hegemon. That is what we are doing today. We have to make a choice. So if we can't woo the faraway hegemon, might as well make peace with the near hegemon. And the last point for the Americans is this, that listen, as a long-term investment, India is a brilliant choice. But if you are going to get guided by this Trump myopia, deal, you are going to destroy the relationship. That's exactly what they are doing. So we need some people who have a long view. And America must see in India's ascent an opportunity and not a threat. So it is these 5 to 6 complex factors which are, spoiling the Indo-U.S.
Can I ask you, General, briefly before we come to last comments? When you say that the US is a retreating hegemon, India's value to it as a countervailing force to China is no longer the sort of, the pawn they're placing on the chessboard. How should India respond? Are you suggesting that we choose a side?
Do you have any other option? Tell me. Can you eliminate both?
But if we had chosen a side, where would we be today?
We were trying to choose a side, but I mean, choose a side in what? See, the point here, it is not really energy security. Energy security, we have other options. It is technological sovereignty. Where do we get our technologies from? The lesson from Sindoor was that platforms are unimportant. It is the wraparound technologies, EW, cyberspace, which make all the difference. We were hoping our technology partner was with USA, so stars to the seas, but see what's happened. So this is how, I don't have prescriptions, but this is how grim geopolitics is. And we therefore have to be very agile. We cannot afford to be lazy. Just when innovation was required so much, we have regulation coming back. We are to blame for this. All these startups in defense and all, you ask them. So we have to understand the gravity of the problem. And I'm saying some of the issues are of our own making. If the Americans know that you are so weak on these issues, of course they'll squeeze you.
Okay, before we come to final comments, Trump was asked by American reporters, why are you not penalizing China for buying oil from Russia? Why are you singling out India? And this is what he said.
Let me go, please. Indian officials have said that there are other countries that are buying Russian oil.
It's okay.
Like China, for instance,
It's
buys
okay.
more.
Yeah.
Why are you singling India out for these additional sanctions?
It's only been 8 hours, so let's see what happens over the next.
Sanctions
you're going to see a lot more.
So this is a taste of.
You're going to see a lot more. You're going to see so much secondary sanctions. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
So you're going to see a lot more. May mean that it doesn't end here. What I want to ask all three of you in final comments is what happens next. So I'll start with you, Ambassador Dr. Mohan Kumar. You believe that this is not over. Keep talking. Don't give in. Don't give up. Right? Neither give up nor give in. And keep going at it and something will emerge. Is that something going to depend also on the dynamics of how Trump's attempt to once again get Russia and Ukraine to stop their conflict? I mean, imagine for a moment, let's war game this, that happens, because we now have Fox News confirming that Trump is open to meeting Putin. We have Marco Rubio saying that the US envoy, which is Steve Witkoff, will return with the Russia-Ukraine peace framework from Moscow. So, I mean, for me as an Indian, it's like you guys can do whatever you want to with Russia. Maybe 3 weeks later, Trump will be calling Putin his friend, and look at the name calling with India. That's it. Putting sentiments aside, where do we go from here?
So I still believe that it's wrong to compare ourselves with China. I wouldn't do it if I was a negotiator. Go and tell the US, why are you taxing China less and why are you taxing India more? I would stand by the merits of my own relationship. There are three things I would look for if you're looking for external factors. First, I would look for the midterm elections and the issues that will impact midterm elections, particularly cost of living and stuff like that. Second, I would watch out for this big, beautiful deal between US and China, if it does come about. Or as he said in response to a person who asked the question, that why are you jumping the gun? I'm going to tax China too. That was my interpretation of what Trump said. So we'll wait and see what happens between US and China, and of course, Russia, Ukraine. Meanwhile, there is no harm in India. Number one, as I said, playing all sides. Don't foreclose options, whether it is buying oil from Russia or whether it is dealing with China. Both Russia and China are your neighbors. They are going to be there. America is far away. So I wouldn't ever suggest that we foreclose options with these two countries. So you continue to do what you're doing. All I'm saying is, with regard to the US, you will find that the geopolitical situation shifts, and then you will find your negotiations will also change one way or the other. Wait for it. And there are two important things which are on the line here. One is the Quad meeting. We haven't had the chance to talk about it because there is a Quad summit, and who knows, that may have to be postponed, but I don't want to second guess anybody, because unless Trump comes, you can't have a summit. And the second thing is there are other issues in the relationship that are on the line, like the 10-year defense treaty, for example. I don't see that happening also in the short term until we fix this deal. So in many ways, I think, Barka, a lot hinges on this trade deal. But at the same time, I would say that don't worry too much about the external factors. Keep looking at it, but don't foreclose your options yet.
Okay, General Shukla, do you agree? Before I give Indrani the last word, the Quad could be postponed. I mean, I can't imagine the Quad happening in these circumstances, but who knows? I mean, we have seen stranger things, all of us, in our many years of covering seemingly adversarial countries that then find a moment to, bring to meet at the dialogue table.
So, Barka, a year back, I was pretty rosy-eyed about the American relationship. I am no longer. There was a lot to worry. See, where do you end? What is the argument? Is it oil? Suddenly it becomes our weapons from Russia. The other day I heard Steve Bannon, who's at the heart of the MAGA camp, argue that the H-1B was a lie. He says that this business that there is no American talent, so Indian talent must come in, is a lie. He says Americans are talented. Companies have kept US talent out and got Indian talent in. Now, if these are going to be the unending series of arguments, the relationship is fraught. So the MAGA camp it is impossible to deal and negotiate with the MAGA camp. Sorry to say so, they are a set of madcaps. It is just impossible to deal with them.
But I mean, that's what you have. So what are you going to do?
So I'm telling you. So so the prescriptions will come from the ambassador and Indrani. They are the ones who have deeper expertise in this. I can just to me, it seems that now there is a lot to worry. I'm telling you, Indrani knows I was very rosy-eyed about the American relationship. And now see, from my own experience, DTTI to now, I've heard a lot of promises, platforms, yes, technology front and all. And some of the diplomat friends who tell me that Russia is a better partner, I'm tending to agree with them now. In terms of...
My God. It is really back.
Indrani has the last word.
No, I was just going to say it is really back to the future then. If today you are feeling as a military veteran that Russia...
I was very rosy-eyed about the Americans, and Indrani knows it. But somehow, it's been very disappointing for the last 1.5 years.
Fair enough. I think, Indrani, a lot of people may feel that way today because they're not looking at this through the lens of sort of informed historical context like all of you have. They're just saying, okay, there's this guy sitting in the White House and he's talking badly about it to India. Surely we can't take this. Now, we understand that, other countries have done worse. China has supported Pakistan and Pakistan's patronage of terrorism. And Pakistan, of course, is a direct affront to our security. My question to you is, since you do think that it is not past that stage of being repaired, what could repair it?
The last part of your question, I have no idea. My sense is, circumstances throw up opportunities. The fact of, shall we say, the logic of the relationship, of the India-U.S. relationship has not changed, will not change. Because geography is the devil. General Shukla will tell you, and people in the army, people who fought Operation Sindoor, a couple of my friends said to me that we did not think we were fighting Pakistan. We knew we were fighting China. If that is the case, excuse me, your distant hegemon will end up popping up in your life sooner or later. We make peace. And I will say one more thing that General Shukla said, which is you cannot exercise strategic autonomy from the books. You don't have the elements of strategic autonomy. China can exercise strategic autonomy because China has the levers to address itself. At this moment, China has stopped the export of permanent magnets to the US defense system, even via third countries. That is real leverage. H-1B is not leverage. Please, H-1B, America can function without H-1B. H-1B is not a problem, is not a leverage. You want to send if your people want to go and work as coders and software engineers, so be it. But if America doesn't want to let them work as coders and software engineers, It's a sovereign decision. Please, it's not part of your diplomacy. We have made a mistake by making H-1B and totalization agreement a part of your diplomacy. That's a sovereign decision. There is a reason why you don't allow Bangladeshis to wander around your country, and you're tossing them out every day. So there is a difference between leverage and sovereign decision. We don't see the difference as Indians. We must learn to grow up a little bit.
I think that's an excellent point. I was going to close, but Shukla, I see your hand up. Do you want to have a brief interjection there?
H-1B is not leverage, certainly, but be graceful, damn it. H-1B has built your America. IITs have built their America. At least be graceful.
Okay.
Graceful people, general.
Fine.
We are not graceful. We are not graceful people. Nobody is graceful.
Okay. 2 short points more. There are still 21 days. 21 days left. Hope the relationship gets restored before the.
It will get restored. It will get restored.
Good, very good.
Not
and
in 21 days.
Okay, whatever time.
It won't get restored.
What is really wrong with the Indo-US relationship, and there's a Hindi phrase to describe it, कि बड़े दिनों से ना वो बर्तनों की आवाज आ रही है पर खाना नहीं परसा जा रहा. Let the dish be served now. Let the dish be served.
Okay, General Shukla has moved from rosy-eyed optimism to deep skepticism, but Ambassador Dr.
Cautious skepticism.
And Indrani and Dr. Ambassador Mohan Kumar still believe that the relationship, firstly, is not defined only by Trump, and therefore the logic of the relationship will prevail. And I think there's a great point about China that was just made about China's not just support, but live inputs to Pakistan during Operation Sindoor. And I think, Indrani, I'm so glad that you made that point, because, we tend to just be soft about China because we don't know enough about China as a country. America is something we know, we understand its democracy, our fights play out in full public gaze. So there's a little bit more that we react, I think, to America, though there are serious adversarial security challenges, I think, from China. But we leave it there. Thank you so much, Indrani Bagchi, Dr. Mohan Kumar, and General Shukla. Pleasure, learned so much from all three of you. And thank you. Take care and see you soon. Thank you.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.